Good evening. A female businesswoman and her common-law husband were shot and killed at their home in Barrettstown, St. James this morning. Dead are 25-year-old Chrisinty Wilson, a bar operator of Saigon in Barrettstown, and her common-law spouse, known only as Shaba. Reports from the Barrettstown police are that about 12:10 a.m., the couple were asleep in their bed when armed men entered the house through a window and opened fire, killing them on the spot. The police were summoned, and upon arrival, both victims were discovered lying in a pool of blood with multiple gunshot wounds. The scene was processed and the bodies removed to the morgue. Meanwhile, 5 people said to be all men were shot in Red Ground, Negril, Westmoreland shortly after 9 o'clock this morning. 2 of them have since died. Reports are that a group of people were at a bar in the community when armed men opened fire at them. 5 received gunshot wounds and were taken to hospital, where 2 later died while being treated. The dead men have not been identified. In a separate shooting incident that occurred in Grange Hill, also in Westmoreland this morning, another man was killed. That incident occurred shortly after 8 o'clock. The man has not yet been identified, and Mello TV will bring you more in this story in subsequent newscasts. And over in the St. Andrew South Police Division, 4 persons were shot and killed yesterday. In the first incident, 3 men were shot, 2 fatally in Olympic Way. The deceased have been identified as Andre Clark, otherwise called Bullhead, and Jermaine Morgan. Deputy Superintendent of Police for St. Andrew South Police Division, Corlage Minto, gave us an update on the shooting.
We're here at McDonald Place, which runs off the Olympic Way in the vicinity of the station. Several explosions were heard earlier this evening. 3 persons were shot and injured. The persons were taken to hospital, where it is understood that 2 of them have since succumbed to their injuries. This area, otherwise known as Compound, is one of the areas that we have in our division that we have been paying attention to, especially over the last 72 hours. We have been having a number of shootings in and around this area. And so we have been doing a number of operational activities. It's quite unfortunate that persons in this area seek to take things into their own hands, as against reporting matters and allowing the police to do their investigation. And making an appeal to the public to allow the police to do their job. Provide whatever information you have on the incidents that have been occurring, certainly over the last 72 hours, and the necessary investigative processes will take place so that the persons who are responsible for these incidents will be taken into custody and face the court.
Meanwhile, as the police was processing the scene, another double murder took place on McDonald Place in front of the police station in the area. When our news team arrived on the scene, DSP Minto gave us an update on that shooting.
A group of men were sitting at a shop on Welcome Avenue. Men drove up on a motorcycle. It is reported that several explosions were heard. At the end of the explosions, 3 men were found suffering from gunshot wounds. The men were subsequently taken to the Kingston Public Hospital, where 2 of them have since succumbed to their injuries. The 3rd man is at this stage in operating theater and being treated for gunshot wounds. In terms of the information that we have, there is an active gang conflict taking place within this part of the division. And in fact, over the last 72 hours, we have had a flare-up of violence in several areas. We are investigating the matter, being it is a multiple murder. The Major Investigation Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force will lead in this investigation, as well as our local detectives that are gathering information at this time on the scene. We continue to ask the residents to provide any information that they have to the police and allow the police to do their jobs, as against trying to do a reprisal and to take matters into their own hands. This time the operations will continue and the investigations as we seek to identify the persons responsible for this heinous crime.
DSP Minto says these shootings show just how much disregard the perpetrators have for the law and the lives of citizens.
It kind of shows that persons pay very scant regard for law and order. And whether it is in front of the station or in some lane, they are going to take their actions when they get an opportunity. And so what we have to be doing is dominating the space with the assets we have. We have joint military police in this area. Persons look for opportunity. And you have to understand, that these persons operate with cell phones, and so they'll be talking to people who are giving them information as to when they are supposed to do their strike. But it shows very scant regard for law and order. It's unfortunate we've lost 2 Jamaicans this evening right at the spot. We lost 2 others earlier. And we are organizing some strategies right as we speak with the High Command and the Divisional Commander, and we'll be rolling out some things in a very short order.
Meanwhile, today, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, accompanied by Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang and Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson, walked sections of the community of Olympic Gardens in Kingston, where yesterday 4 persons were shot and killed. Prime Minister Holness, who is also a member of Parliament for the area, in speaking with our news team, said that these murders are theorized to be that as a result of gang conflict, and residents are fearful.
I'm here in the communities of Roden Crescent, McKinley Crescent, Balcom Drive, 440 Drive. These are communities that have been affected in the last 3 days by gruesome murders. 6 persons were killed in what is considered to be a gang-related incident. It would appear that young men from the community involved in gang activities ended up in conflict, and it has resulted in the loss of 6 lives. We also believe that in addition to the gang conflict, that there may be retaliation where innocent persons are involved. The police have assured me that they are investigating and that they will leave no stones unturned. So far, residents are fearful. They have expressed their fears, and so I'm here to reassure them that we will have full coverage of the area, both in terms of static and dynamic police presence, but also in terms of intelligence gathering. We cannot allow such heinous crimes to be committed and the perpetrators face no consequences.
He also reassured residents that all the necessary provisions are being put in place to ensure their safety.
This is my constituency. I love the people here. They are like my family. And wherever crime happens here or wherever in Jamaica, I literally take it very personally. And so we are going to be ensuring that this murder, this apparent gang conflict, that the necessary resources are brought to bear and that the perpetrators are brought to justice. The immediate concern of the residents, they want to be reassured that they are able to go about their peaceful and lawful business without fear of being caught up in any random gang shootings. So the Commissioner of Police is here, SSB Ricketts in charge of the area is here, and we are reassuring the residents. We're giving them the assurance that we will put in place all the necessary security provisions to ensure their safety. There are some other measures which we will put in place as well, including cameras. We have a project in place. Unfortunately, it is stuck in procurement and has not yet come to fruition. But I'm going to try and fast track that because, as you can see, these areas are properly laid out with proper roads and infrastructure. And so cameras would be very useful.
Dr. Chang, in speaking with the media, pointed out that a curfew has been instituted and will be extended for another 48 hours to restore calm in the area.
The most tragic series of murder took place very quickly, but in discussion with the commanding officer, we have instituted a curfew which will be extended tonight for another 48 hours in order to give the police officers and the security forces which have joined them from the army the time to restore calm and give reassurance to the citizens. If it's necessary to reintroduce it over the weekend, we'll so do, because we intend to ensure that there's no recurrence of this kind of horrendous violence, and give the citizens the assurance that we'll make every effort to ensure that they can move around peacefully and in safety in the near term. The Commissioner of Police advised me that they are doing everything within their capacity in terms of investigation to identify the killers, and there has been some good information. What they have to do is to find them, apprehend them, and discuss with them or interrogate them to see what the situation is and what action they can take to prosecute those who are involved. Gang wars, unfortunately, tend to be like this, and in fact, more like this now. They respond quickly to, in fact, escape the police response. But we are not only urging the residents to provide all the information they can, because where gangs are involved, of course, citizens are aware of who actors are, and we need to have that information. What we have to reassure the citizens is that once they give the information, we can provide a level of protection and safety from those who are involved, because that is where we have the unfortunate culture where once evidence is provided by citizens, there tend to be retaliation, innocent citizens.
He urged residents to give any information that could assist the police in their investigations. A gun amnesty will be declared as soon as the new Firearms Prohibition, Restriction and Regulation Act is entered into force, says Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang. This amnesty will allow persons who may be in possession of illegal firearms the opportunity to surrender these weapons to the state without fear of prosecution. Dr. Chang made the disclosure as he opened the debate on the legislation in the House of Representatives yesterday. The minister explained that Clause 19 of the bill gives the power to the minister to declare a firearms amnesty by order, subject to affirmative resolution. He said that a public education campaign would also be undertaken along with the expansion of the Get the Guns program. Dr. Chang stated, quote, "This administration will not relent. We must rid our country of illegal firearms and ammunition, and those who not heed will feel the full force of this new legislation with a strict and stringent penalty regime to be in effect," end quote. The minister also informed that under the new legislation, the Firearm Licensing Authority, the FLA, will be established as a body corporate. He further stated that the legislation is an effective tool for the police who have been successfully apprehending and prosecuting, but the current system has become a revolving door for hardened criminals. In the meantime, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson says at the end of August, major crime has increased by 2.7% in comparison to last year. During the Jamaica Constabulary Force's monthly press conference held yesterday, it was pointed out that the increase shows the majority of 71% are gang-related.
In terms of major crimes, at the end of August, there was a 2.7% increase in major crimes over last year. Murder was up by 6.1%, or 58 more when compared with the corresponding period last year. The majority of murders, that is 71%, were gang-related, while another 15% were attributed to interpersonal conflicts. Within the last 10 days of August, there were 8 murders and 1 shooting that were attributed to interpersonal disputes. In St. James, there were 2 conflicts, one involving an altercation between co-workers resulting in a murder, and in the other, a dispute between taxi operators resulting in 3 persons being shot. In Hanover, a conflict over a female resulted in the stabbing death of one of the parties involved. In St. Mary, a dispute over a goat led to an uncle being stabbed to death by his nephew. In Manchester, a 16-year-old female stabbed her 20-year-old boyfriend to death following an argument. In Kingston Central, a domestic dispute led to a murder. In St. Catherine, there were 3 instances. In Linstead, a marital dispute resulted in a woman being stabbed to death by her husband, and in Above Rocks, a land dispute led to another murder. While in the Loidas Vale, a conflict over a board dwelling led to a murder. Murders resulting from interpersonal conflicts are often cleared quickly, primarily because the suspects are known. But lives are already lost, families torn apart, and survivors or witnesses traumatized.
Commissioner Anderson also reported a 6% decline in shootings and rape by 16%. However, robberies up by 15% and break-ins at 7.8% increase.
6% decline in shootings and rapes have decreased by 16%. However, robberies are up by 15% and break-ins are up by 7.8%. As indicated in our last press briefing, we were in the process of acquiring additional mobility assets and training additional quick response motorcyclists in response to the robberies and break-ins. These initiatives are just about coming on stream, and as the process continues, we are also employing technology and intelligence to target known perpetrators. Now, it's important to note that analysis of the data shows robberies are down 22%, whilst break-ins are down 24% from pre-COVID levels. In formulating our strategies, it's important that we look at the pre-COVID circumstances and not just the last 2 years where movement restrictions were in force. Our initiatives now are designed to ensure we do not get back to even the 2020 levels, but continue the downward trend.
In announcing the seizure of 518 firearms since this year, Major General Anderson said that the police will not focus on the mandate to apprehend criminals and ensure public order and save lives.
As at the end of August, the constabulary, along with other law enforcement partners, seized 518 firearms. That's an increase of 12% or 54 more firearms seized over the same period last year. 9,082 rounds of ammunition have also been seized. Since January, we have laid charges against 657 persons just for illegal possession of firearms. Some of these persons are charged for other offenses as well. We will not be distracted or lose focus on our mandate to apprehend criminals, ensure public order, and save lives. In order to achieve this, especially where aspects are outside of our remit, we'll continue with our advocacy, assistance to other stakeholders, and create more opportunities for multi-agency collaboration. Most importantly, we'll continue our strong community engagement as we partner to bring the changes that our communities and our country deserve.
The family of 12-year-old burn victim Adriana Lang is seeking almost $40,000 or 6.3 million Jamaican dollars to pay for an air ambulance to fly her out of Jamaica for treatment in the United States. Adriana is to be transferred to the Joseph M. Still Burn Medical Center in Austell, Georgia in the U.S. Her stay is being coordinated by Stephen Jones through the Good Samaritan Health Center. The hospital will accommodate Adriana for free. Adriana Lang is in critical condition in a St. Andrew hospital, but her vitals are said to be reportedly stable. Doctors believe the next 48 hours will be pivotal. The family is asking for payments to be made directly to the air ambulance company, Trinity Air Ambulance International, LLC. Adriana Lang's 3 younger brothers, 9-year-old Adriano Lang and 7-year-old twins Jordan and Jaden Lang, died in the fire which destroyed their home in Springfield, Westmoreland on Sunday evening. And those are the stories making the news this evening. I'm Nicole Hales. Thanks for watching.